Okay.
So I can...
And then when he came back from the war, we went to Northam.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Oh, my husband's got relatives who went to Northam. Okay.
And I can't think of one of our relations. They had the bakehouse up there, but I can't remember who they were.
Right.
Because they had the bakehouse up there at the time.
Yep.
And then we went to Northam, and I had this leg, and I was in irons and all sorts of things. And when we went to Northam, there was a Dr. Aberdeen up there, and he said it'd take a long time, but he was pretty certain he could get me out of all the irons and get me back into
normal walking shoes. Yes.
He says it's going to take a long time. It could take anything up to 2 years.
Yes.
Well, it took about 2 years, and I learned to walk again, pushing a...
What was the problem, having the irons on your leg?
Because I had this bad... When I was 18 months old at this house in the railway parade in West Perth in the railway house, I got a jarrow splinter in that big toe.
Oh, what happened?
Yes, so that's what caused this foot to be...
Infected.
Infected, and caused this foot to be... That's only...
It didn't grow as well
No,
as the other.
it grew, but only that's only about a 3.
Yeah.
My other foot's about a 5 or something.
Oh, I see.
And,
yeah.
But I was in irons up to here.
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
And then,
So how old were you in Northam?
well, I was about 10, I think.
Yeah.
I just can't remember. I think about
Yeah.
10.
When were you born?
I was born in. I've just turned 90.
When's your birthday?
28th of November.
So
my
that's
birthday.
1910 you would have been born.
Yes, that's right.
Well, now you said that your father came back from the war. That must have been more like 1920. No, 1950.
Yeah, 20 maybe. How old were you?
You were born in 1910. Mum was born in 1906. You were born in 1910. Mum would have been about 92 now, wouldn't she?
93.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
How old were you when your dad came back?
Back. Can you remember him
No.
coming back from the war?
Well, I don't know how old I was. I know we must have gone to Northam after Dad come back.
Yeah.
For Dr. Aberdeen to do what he did
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, well, I think Millie would have been round about 7 or 8 when her father came back from that
Yeah.
First World War. Yes. And how long were you in Northam for? Long time?
We were there for a few years, not for very long, because I don't know if I was up there when I think Dad died while I was there, if I remember rightly.
Really?
I know they came to me one day to take me down to a room, and I said, but you've already done my leg, you know, and they said, oh yes, but something else has to be done, but it wasn't. When we got down there, they said, no, your father's passed away, and we didn't want to tell you in front of the other people.
Oh,
So I can't remember.
So you were young then when he died?
can't remember.
Yeah, well, you're fairly young.
What
so
did he die from? Do you remember?
Oh, just age or pneumonia,
Oh.
I suppose, or pleurisy or something like
Right.
that. I think it was
Yeah,
something
and
like
what did he do in Northam? Did he
Dad was
work
in the
with the
railways
railways
when he came
in
back
Northam?
from the war.
Yeah.
They gave him a job. He came back and he was wounded in the ankle, but not badly. And when he came back, they sent him in charge of the running sheds or the sheds or something in Northam. They gave him a charity job, put it that
Yeah.
way. That's the only way I can say it. Anyhow, this Dr. Aberdeen said it'd take a long time,
Yeah.
but he could pretty well say that he could get me out of all like
The
I was.
irons. Yeah.
But he says it's going to take a long time because there's a lot of operations to be done.
Oh.
Well, I suppose it was 18 months to 2 years. And I walked out of Princess Margaret Hospital, out of Ward 2.
Oh.
I learned to walk pushing a pram full of
Toys probably.
weights.
bricks.
Ah,
and
bricks.
things,
Not
yeah.
as romantic as
down.
toys.
They probably
ward
didn't have walking.
Till I learned to walk,
Right.
and then from then on I walked.
Great.
That's right. Yeah.
And but I've got a big scar right up the back of my leg, and scars. You had to cut tendons. You had to do all sorts of things.
Going.
But that I've only got thanks to him.
That he got you, yes.
That he got there, and many years afterward I come to Perth. I'd never been to a doctor again, ever. And I wasn't very well, and I said to her, I think I should go to, this is after I married my husband.
Yeah.
I married him in, after the last war.
Yeah,
I
so
married-
that'd be after 45.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I said, I feel I should go and see a doctor, but I said, I've never been to a doctor,
Oh,
and I don't know who to go to.
fancy all those years.
So he said, well, you're always talking about this Dr. Aberdeen, and he said he's got a practice in, I'll call him St George's Terrace and William Street upstairs. He said, I know that.
Oh, fancy
So
that.
I said,
Yeah.
all right, I'll go up there and see Dr. Aberdeen. So I went up there this day, and Dr. Aberdeen wasn't there. But his son was there.
Ah.
And he said,
the son.
but he said, I won't do anything, but just tell me the details and I'll write it down,
And
and
pass it
Dad will
on.
be here
Yeah.
next week. But he's not
Yeah.
very well and he couldn't come. I didn't know that he was dying then.
Oh, yeah.
He was sick, you know,
Yeah,
he was dying.
Yeah.
And so I told him, and I went back. And so I told Dr. Aberdeen what the problem was, and he said, what did the last, what the trouble was? I went there was tummy trouble
Yeah.
after I was married, and he said, what did the last doctor say about you? And I said, I've never been to another doctor, only you. And he said, me? And I said, yes. And he said,
When was that? Yeah.
where? And I said, in Northam. He said, but that's a long time ago. And I said, yes, I know. And he said, well, who were you? And I said, well, I was Millie Doyle. And he said, oh, the little girl with the foot. And I said, yes, that's me. He forgot what I was there for. And I went all around the AMP building
Yeah.
to be shown to all the doctors
People.
there what he'd done, you know,
Oh,
back
wasn't
in
that
Northam
great?
in 90, whatever it was.
Yeah, that's a nice story, isn't
And,
it? That's really good.
anyhow,
Yeah.
So he said, well, now,
Yeah.
what's your
Yeah.
problem? So I
Yeah.
said, well, I've got
Yeah.
stomach trouble.
Yeah.
So he said, well,
Might be
after he
pregnant.
had examined me, he said, how long have you been married? I said, I have only been married about 14 months or something like that. And he said, well, what about a family? I said, I don't want to have a family. I'm too old to start rearing children now. Because he said, with the operation you're going to have, I can do it two ways, but I prefer to do it a certain way, but you'd never be able to have a family. So I said, oh, well,
Yeah, that's
we'll
okay
discuss
with you,
that.
yeah.
That's not going to be. I've got enough damn nieces and nephews to keep me going for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it would have been
So
35
we
then.
did that, and I was to go into a hospital out of Claremont somewhere. Anyhow, I got the flu. So he said, well, I can't do it now. You'll have to go home to Norseman for a fortnight and then come back. 'Cause I can't do it, the operation with that cold. So I went back to Norseman. I came back. I was going into a certain hospital out of Claremont, down near the river somewhere. But anyhow, when I come back, he said, well, I can't get you in there now. There's no vacancies, but I'll get you into the Westminster Hospital in St George's Terrace. And he said, I've got nothing against the hospital, but I don't like the staff, and they don't like me.
Oh,
But he said,
I
the
see.
operation's got to be done, and that's all there is to it. So he said, we'll put all behind us. So he booked me in there, and that's where I had this tummy operation there.
Mm.
And
Sounds
they
like
disliked him. I don't know why they did. They didn't
Uterus
like
removal.
him. He used to rush in and see me and
Yeah,
rush out again.
yeah,
And they said he's the most ignorant doctor we've ever had. He said, he hasn't even got the decency to come and tell us
Oh.
how you're getting on or anything. He writes a note and leaves it. That he visited me. And it's a satisfactory proceeding, you know,
yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But they didn't like him, he didn't like them. He never had anything to do
So
with them.
it was
so.
many years later that you caught up with him then, wasn't it? A long time later that you caught up with him? Yeah, it was, Millie, yes. But did you show Millie some of what you've done? She's done a lovely job of this.
Put together a family tree.
Of the Harrisons,
of,
this is.
yeah, so this is, but I've also done the Kerrs.
Yeah.
So do you remember your grandparents at all? The Gaines?
No.
No, never
No.
knew them.
I didn't know them, no.
Because were you one of the youngest children?
Must have been where I don't ever remember meeting any of the Gaines family.
Right.
No.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is. Yes, yeah.
So-
Yeah, but in those days they lived like if you
Yeah.
lived one side of Perth to the other, it was a long way to go, and there's not always public
Yeah.
transport
Well,
either.
especially if they lived in
In
Northern.
and well, when you met, did you meet Harry in Norseman?
Yes.
So what took you up there to
No,
live?
I met Harry during the war years.
War years, and
Yes,
he
and
decided
he wanted me to get married then, and I said no. If you go away and you come back,
then.
we'll talk about it then, but I won't get married prior. Well, he was with the 10th Armoured Regiment, and they were up the north of Western Australia, and they were on embarkation leave when the war finished.
Yes.
So he came back to Perth, and we were Catholics, and of course I wanted to be married at St Bridget's Church,
Oh, I didn't know
at
that you were
the
Catholic.
school where I
It's interesting.
went. But they wouldn't marry me at the main altar. If I got married there, I had to be married at a side altar.
Why was
because I
that?
was marrying out of my religion. So,
Harry was a Catholic?
no, he wasn't.
Oh, he wasn't a Catholic.
No, he wasn't
Oh,
a
I
Catholic
see.
or anything. He was.
Yeah, and
He didn't.
how was it you were a Catholic?
Aye.
Nana Kerr wasn't Catholic.
Huh?
How is it you were Catholic? Your father?
Dad, Doyle.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
right,
Of course.
okay.
And
that's
Mum
Because the
turned.
Gaines
because
They were married
Anglican.
in.
Anglican.
The Gaines
yeah.
were married
They
at
were
St
married
George's
in
Catholic.
Kilgardy. I think they were married in Kalgoorlie, but lived in Kilgardy because Dad was in the railways.
Oh, I
If I
see.
remember rightly.
Yes, yeah,
Wow.
And then,
yeah.
well, I don't know where everybody else was born, but
And then Harry took you to Norseman because he had
yes,
a
well, when Harry came back from the war,
war. Yeah.
well, they didn't go, they were on embarkation leave,
Mm.
so he said, well, we may as well get married now. And I went, we got married in the registry office in, opposite that big church in the street that runs between Hay Street and
St Mary's, the big
The-
cathedral.
the cathedral.
Oh,
Mary's.
We
yes.
didn't get
I
married
was
there,
just-
got married in the registry office
Opposite there.
Right.
I just passed there this morning.
And
yeah.
then he had to go, the chap at Northern, the boss, said if you go to the war and you come back, you want your job's here. So he
Yeah,
said,
so-
would you go to Northern? I said, oh, wherever you go, I go. So he got in touch with this Mr. Charles. Mr. Charles, he said, yes, your job's here for you waiting when you like to come back. So he said, well, it's no good you coming back with me up there until I get somewhere for you to live.
Yeah.
Because this is a long time
Come
ago.
ago, yes, yes.
And
45.
so he went back up there.
there and got
And
a house.
then the lady where he was boarding, he told her that he was married, but his wife couldn't come up because there was no accommodation. So she said, oh, well, I can fix that up. She said, you're sharing a room with another chappie, and I'll put him somewhere else, and your wife can come up, and you two can have the room. So she did that. That's how I come
That
to
was
go.
a bit lonely for you in those days with Harry going off to work.
Yes, but he
Wasn't
used to do 3 shifts, you know.
What did Harry do?
But I joined up with CWA and the Red,
Oh, and did
I was
all
in
that,
the Red
yeah.
Cross and the CWA
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Infant Health
Yeah.
Centre and
Yeah,
oh, you know,
yeah.
but I was in
But-
everything but a cold bath because we had no family,
yeah, yeah.
and you go to those towns and you have to you got to
You've got to make
make
life
And
yourself.
Harry used to teach the boys the trumpet or bugle
Yeah,
or whatever. He used
yeah.
to, in the band, he used to help teach them.
So he was musical.
He was musical, and
Well, I was telling Jodie you loved your dancing, the two of you, didn't you? You
Yeah.
went ballroom dancing.
we used to go.
Did
Well,
he-
I was going ballroom dancing right up until
Yeah, I can remember.
not
Yeah.
not so very long ago.
No.
But Harry died.
Yeah.
He died on. He's been dead 2 years, I think.
Oh, no, it'd be longer than
No,
that.
6 years.
Yeah,
6
it'd be
years.
longer than that, Millie, because I,
Been dead 6
at
years.
least.
Last.
At least.
I don't know when it was, February. Sometime in February, I think.
Maureen
it
would
was.
know
Forgotten
the
when.
right date.
Now he never had a day's illness in his life, Harry.
No.
Never complained of a headache or an illness of any sort. One day we were having lunch and we were living in the Freemasons units in Alexander Drive, Mount Lawley. We lived there for about 17 or 18 years after we retired from the mine. We bought a big caravan and we were going to go caravanning around Australia and I got cold feet. We had this beautiful caravan bought for the job. The more I thought of it, the more panicky I got. And Harry said, well, what's wrong now? And I said, look, if you take me across the Nullarbor in that caravan, you won't bring me back. I said, I'm starting to get jittery about it, having to stay in the bush overnight and all this sort of thing. And he said, well, that's what we bought the caravan for. So he said, oh, well, all right, we're not going. He said, we'll go to Mandurah. So I said, that suits me. Because I knew Mandurah well.
Yeah.
And,
but Harry had his own garage.
eh?
He had his own business in Norseman garage.
No, Harry worked off the mine in the
Wasn't he ever working at a garage? Who am I thinking of?
No,
Yeah, when John and I visited you,
he worked
you
in
lived
the,
next door to a garage.
in the goal room.
Oh, did you live next door to a garage? Remember John and I visited you
I'll tell you,
on our way through to Melbourne?
Our friend owned the garage.
Oh, that's what it was. I thought it was
King.
Harry. Oh, your friend owned the garage.
No,
That's right.
the King did, and when
Yeah.
years later we had a little prefect car, and we were going to go to the eastern states in it, and that friend of ours with the garage, he didn't have much respect for little prefects.
No, he said I wouldn't if I were you.
And he said, I don't like the idea. So he packed a whole box of tools.
Yeah.
He said, now I'm going to put these in your ute when you go. It was a utility, not a car. And Harry had made a cover for the back. And he said, I'm going to put that in the ute. And if you use it, you pay me for it. If you don't, you just bring it back. Because he said, I'm a bit worried about your skips because the road was rough then. It wasn't like
terrible.
it is now.
Oh,
And so Harry said, oh, I'm not worried. This car will take us anywhere. He had a great faith in this old utility. So anyhow, we went and we never had 1 ounce of trouble.
Where did you drive to? Where did you drive to? Melbourne, Sydney?
Went over to Melbourne and Sydney and all around and back. Went to the Melbourne Cup. We did everything.
Really?
We come back and we never had any worry whatsoever. When we came back, he came back and he had all his tools. He said, I never had to use even anything.
Well, when we visited you that time, I worked out, John and I drove over, it was just after we got married in 1953, and we looked you up, and I think, did we stay with you or not? No, we had a dinner with you. We had a meal with you, but I think we went on because John was anxious.
We just stayed with us one time.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah.
And
Just overnight.
we were in a little A40,
That's
Austin 40, and how we ever
Cross the Nullarbor.
God knows how we ever did it.
Funny.
We did have trouble with it. We did have trouble. Yeah, we stopped off at Minipur and had to wait 3 days while they sent in a new clutch plate. Flew in a clutch plate. Yeah.
So Millie, your husband was Harry. Was he a Harold?
Harold George Victor Walker.
George Victor.
Harold George Victor Walker.
And when was he born? Do you remember his birthday?
No, well, he was just about as old as what I was. We were around the same age, but I couldn't tell you because he was born in England.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah, he came out here when he was about 7, I think, with his family.
Around 1910 then he would have been born.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Right.
And he died about
6
2 years ago.
Oh, no, I think it's longer than that.
What's this
Yeah,
year?
6 years. 2000 we are.
2 years this year, I think he died. In
I would
last year.
Yeah,
He'd been dead 2 years last year.
yeah, and
In I've forgotten
Maureen
now.
Maureen would remember, wouldn't she? Maureen would
Anyhow,
remember.
it was all sudden. He was sitting at the table one day and he drooped his head down. I said, "What's wrong with you?" And he said, "I don't know, I feel queer." And I took him up. Doctor happened to be in the village that day, and I took him up to the doctor, and he said, "I think you better take him to Royal Perth." Well, I'll get the ambulance. I said, "No, I'll get a taxi." We got the taxi and went up to Royal Perth, and I was still there at 7 o'clock, and I still hadn't seen Harry. They took him away. Then the doctor came to me and said, "You can go home, Mrs. Walker, and I'll talk to you in the morning." And in the morning, he sent for me, and he said, "Well, I've got sad news for you. Your husband's got a tumour."
Oh,
And
yeah.
he said, "It's right around. There's nothing we can do. It could be days or it could be weeks, but we can't say." It was about 2.5 months, I suppose, and he died about 8 o'clock
Did he stay in hospital all that time?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, didn't go
Well,
home, yeah.
We were over at
Yeah,
where we lived over at the Freemasons
Masons,
then.
yeah.
They put him
Yeah.
into bed there, and they looked after him there. And but last 3 days, he didn't.
No,
He
no.
didn't know, but he went unconscious, you know.
So whose mother is Maureen now? Maureen Quartermain, your
Yes.
niece. Her mother was who?
Well, her mother
Was your sister?
was my.
Was she your sister?
Well,
Mavis.
my mum's sister, I suppose.
And which sister?
Because Maureen.
No, Maureen's young.
Maureen's only young.
Yeah, no, Maureen's mother.
Maureen's mother and my mother would be sisters, I think.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Her mother would be 80 if she was alive, round about there.
And who was her mother?
That's what I want to know.
All right.
Do you know who Maureen's mother was? Which sister of yours had Maureen?
Well, it was Auntie Amy, Auntie Pearl, Auntie Ada.
What was her maiden name? Do you know?
Laurie,
Maureen who?
Ivy, and Lee. I've got here.
Well, Maureen will be able to tell you all.
Yeah.
that.
Maureen will be able to tell
Yeah,
you
yeah.
what it,
Yeah.
I just can't
Her
remember
married
at the
name's
moment.
Quartermain, I know that, but who was she before? Maureen Doyle? Was she a Doyle? No.
No,
No, we were the Doyles.
Yeah. That was your maiden name, Doyle.
Well, Mum married a Doyle.
Yes,
She married
that was
Jim
her
Doyle.
maiden name.
That's right. I'm just trying to establish whether it was Maureen's, whether it was Millie's brother who had Maureen. That's what I'm trying
Right,
to get
Edward. No, but he died young. There weren't any boys who survived.
at. Who survived?
It was all
No.
girls.
Oh, I see. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, that's all very interesting.
Have you got any photographs of your mum and dad?
Maureen's got one photo of. I don't know whether she got one of Mum and Dad or not. She got one of us.
We
I
can
know.
ring her when we get home. I can give her a
She
ring.
might have. She
She's
might
nice,
have
mate.
some back.
And Maureen's.
See, I'll tell you what happened. When we lived in Lacey Street in East Perth, funny thing, we lived there when we were young.
Yes.
We went back there and I was married there from Lacey Street. But we had a big tea chest out underneath a back veranda, and they didn't realise that the water was running off that roof.
Oh yes, you told me
Onto that tea chest.
chest and everything
With the
got damp.
result,
Yeah,
Our Catholic Bible and
everything got damp.
all went. And all the things that belong really to Mum, that would have been of some history,
Yes,
all
yeah.
went.
Oh, isn't it a
the
shame?
rain came down and
Yeah.
the tea chests, they were just that sort of light wood.
Yep.
Well, that all rotted and everything rotted in it. And that's gone back a long time.
Yeah.
So, your mum, where did she grow up? Did she grow up in Perth?
In Fremantle, as
In
far
Fremantle?
as I know.
yeah,
all
they were Fremantle,
Yeah.
that family, weren't
They were
they?
Fremantle girls,
Mm.
the whole lot of them.
Well, Nana Kerr was born and bred in East Fremantle.
East Fremantle.
She's East
was it?
Fremantle. That's where the Russells or
Yeah.
two family
Yeah.
were East Fremantle. But
Do you remember where? What address?
no, you can't remember where. No, I can't. I never ever knew that.
East Fremantle.
I can always remember Auntie, I think it was Auntie Liza, she used to live up on the hill.
Yeah, up in
In-
the hill in East Fremantle,
Yeah,
overlooking the
that's
river
right.
probably.
I always remember that because we used to go there.
She would have had a view of the river.
Eh?
She would have had a view of the river, probably.
Who? Auntie who?
Auntie Eliza.
Auntie Liza.
Liza. Mum used to talk about her.
I don't know who that is. It's got a Martha, Amy, Lee, Ada, Florrie, Ivy, Pearl.
Well, Auntie Liza would be.
Auntie Martha was my mother.
There we are. Have you
Yeah.
got that? Martha was.
So Martha, yeah.
Now Martha's sister must have been Liza. You see, you're getting a bit waylaid now.
But I haven't got Eliza
Haven't you?
in that.
Might have been
family.
on the father's side.
Maybe it was a nickname. Oh yeah, well, I guess it could have been. Maybe.
Who was Liza?
Is Liza a Doyle?
Uncle Wally, I don't remember ever meeting anyone, Uncle Wally Kerr.
Kerr, yeah.
I don't remember ever meeting anyone. All I can remember, mainly what I remember about Uncle Wally Kerr, he used to swing the baton in front of the Scotch band, going
yeah.
through Perth.
Yeah,
I can see him going up Wellington Street
He was
now,
lovely.
swinging that baton. He used to lead this
Yes.
Scottish band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was lovely.
I can
wasn't he,
remember
Wally
that.
Kerr? He was
But
lovely.
you don't remember much more about what.
No. No, I don't remember.
And what about Amy? Auntie Amy.
Oh,
Well, Amy must have been your
I should
sister.
remember Auntie Amy because she was Mum's sister.
Mum's sister.
What, my grandmother was your mum's sister?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong generation here. So you were a niece to Auntie Amy.
That's right.
You're a
Yeah,
niece.
I used to go down to.
They're alike, you know. You
Auntie
you are
Amy.
like Nana Kerr,
Huh?
very like her. You are very much look like Nana Kerr, don't you think, by the photo?
Yeah.
Oh, very
I
much.
don't
so.
remember
Oh,
now.
oh, yeah.
But Auntie Amy used to live in there was some little street in Fremantle. Used to run
I know
from
where she lived
the
in
main
Tubing.
street and just run down to the
Gloucester
ocean.
Street. We must go and have a
And
look
I
at
used to
that house.
go down there a lot, right up until I was fairly old. Even after I was married, we used
What
to
did
go
you say
down
about the street? Was it far out of Fremantle?
I
the
can't,
street?
know, I can't remember the
no.
name of the street. It wasn't not much past the Fremantle Hospital. And then you turn right, and it only ran from that street down
Down.
to the ocean.
Oh, sounds like...
Whatever the name of the street
Yeah.
was. I can always remember she used to have a canary sitting in a little cage on the front veranda. So I used to go there a lot. And then they went to live in a big house
Up in Guildford.
further out in still in
Rose-
Fremantle, but
Oh, in
further out.
Fremantle.
Do you remember that?
No, no.
no.
A big house she had then. Matter of fact, this Dr. Aberdeen from Northam, he used to live in the house, he told me, years later.
Did he?
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Are you talking about Amy now? Are you
Auntie
talking...
Amy.
Yep.
Yeah, Auntie Amy,
So,
yeah.
but they must have gone to live then up in Midland?
Bayswater. Or Midland or Bayswater, didn't they?
Amherst Road?
Auntie, your
Midland first.
Auntie Amy lived up in Bayswater.
That's
Yes.
right.
That's
Where Mum was
See,
born.
well, I don't know where that photo got, but we had a photo with her at a sulky coming down to see my mother. I don't know who's got that photo, whether that went down in the...
I've got a
archive.
photo with a
Someone
sulky.
in a sulky. So
But
who's in that photo? That's
We better
Amy.
write
Auntie
that
Amy.
down. Write that down. So I've got a photo, but I understood that came from Melbourne. That photo. I thought that was a Harrison side. I've got a photo of a sulky and two people.
Have you?
I've never known who the two people were.
It was two
Well,
kids.
Auntie-
Wasn't it a
No,
brother and
I
two
thought
kids?
no.
Oh.
Mine were sort of two women with hats, and
Ah.
I thought mine came from Melbourne. That one. I thought Mum had that from Melbourne, but I'll dig it out. That one.
Mm.
Yeah, that's interesting. We might be able to solve that problem. You never know.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
ever visit the house in Bayswater? In
Yes, we lived in
Leek
Bayswater.
Street. Oh, you lived in Bayswater?
Yeah, we lived in Bayswater. I can't remember the name of the street, but we lived in Bayswater up from the town hall.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because the Kerrs lived in Leek Street,
That's right.
Bayswater.
Mum was born.
Yeah,
She was actually
Auntie
born in
Amy lived
Midland.
in...
Oh, was she?
Amherst.
He was
Oh, that's
working...
right, yeah.
Uncle Wally was working in the Midland workshops.
That's right.
And Aunt they used to live in a... Oh, I forgot the name of the street.
Amherst Road. In
Yeah,
I
yeah,
used to
yeah,
run
that's
along
right.
and
Jodie's
down
got it
as
on
far
her.
as
And the
Guildford
house
Road,
called
I know.
Rosedale, the house that
Yeah,
still
we
exists.
we drove there. And we've got photos. You've seen the photos of Mum and Bessie in front of that house. We've got a photo of that
No.
somewhere.
Have you?
Yep.
Right.
Oh. I don't know. Funny how we can't find them, isn't it? But I've seen a photo of them.
So-
I thought Ray took all those.
So
old
you
ones.
knew Edna
Yeah.
your whole life?
Yes.
Hello?
Oh,
You knew Edna your whole life?
Oh, yeah.
being cousins. Yeah.
Right, and Bessie.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, because Bessie was a champion dancer. She had about 90-something medals for
Dancing.
Highland dancing.
Yeah.
She used to go up to, in those days, they used to have a big do at Midland, Scotch dancing and all that. And Bessie had about 99 medals
Wow.
for Scottish dancing, Bessie
Yeah.
Kerr did.
Yeah, she was marvellous.
Wow.
Then Mum learned.
And Uncle Wally used to play the music for her
Yeah,
to dance to.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
So
He
there was
was
music
lovely.
on their
Yeah,
side too.
yeah, well, there was. There was.
In those days, they used to have a big competition up at Midland. every year.
Yeah.
They had this big do at
Was it to
Midland.
do with the Railway Institute, do you think? Do you think the railway's that on?
Uncle, they could have done,
Yeah.
because Uncle Wally worked in
They
the
used to have
railways.
picnics, remember?
Yes.
I can remember as a little girl, 6, 7 or 8 years old, going
Uncle
to
Wally
the
worked in the railways.
Midland Railway picnics.
And running races and
running
things,
races
yeah.
and bags and spoons and things like that. And we used to get lollies if you won. And I can remember Parker giving Jack and I lollies when we hadn't even won. He used to say, yes, you won. And we used to get all these lollies that we hadn't won at all. I remember that. He was gorgeous. He was a lovely man. Mum's mother, Mum's father.
I can see Uncle Wally now walking up Wellington
Oh,
Street.
lovely.
swinging
Very
that.
that's where Jack gets his looks from, is
yeah.
him. That's where Mum's got her looks from. You
Right.
see, she's nothing like her
And
mother.
they had another friend by the name of Wally,
Yeah.
and he was in a wheelchair, but I can't remember his
Who
name.
that
He was a
was?
great friend of theirs, and he was Wally. His name was Wally,
Maybe someone.
but I can't remember who he was. He was in a wheelchair, and I remember he used to go and have meals at some place in Hay Street.
I remember looking through the death notices. I
Aye.
don't think I've still got those. I wonder if I have kept
For
them.
whom?
For Parker when he died, and there were all
Oh,
these.
I've got those.
You've got them, have
I've
you?
got yeah.
Did I give them to you?
Yeah.
All these notices
No,
of people.
Nana had them.
Yeah, Nana had them. Yeah, I know. I've read them, and he must have been very popular
Oh,
because
lots
there were
of
lots and lots
Yes,
of
well,
people.
see, if the rain had to come down, we had a lovely Catholic truth that we'd had for all our lives. Well, see, that Mum had all the births, deaths and marriages of everybody in that.
Yeah, yeah. What a
So it
pity.
all went.
And Lorraine Doyle, Lorraine
Doyle.
is she a cousin to Maureen? Lorraine? Are
Well,
they cousins?
Lorraine's
Albie's daughter.
Albie's daughter.
Yeah, have you got that there? Lorraine's,
Who's
young.
Albie? Who's Lorraine?
Albie is your brother, wasn't he? Who was Albie?
Albie was my brother.
Yeah,
Okay.
you've got Albie there.
And
Oh,
Albie
Albie.
was,
Okay.
Lorraine was Albie's daughter.
Was she the only child?
Hmm?
Was she the only child that Albie had?
No, they had. I forget how. No, they had quite a big family. I think I forgot. See, my mind doesn't work much these days.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
What we could do, see, Lorraine and Maureen and Millie, me, Olive, and all that crowd get together once or twice a year for lunch.
that's right.
It's a bit hard for at the
And
moment
I
for
would-
Millie to go, but I was suggesting why not we decide you can come out in the wheelchair, can't you? Can you get into the car out of the wheelchair or not at the moment?
Oh, I've never even tried.
Tried, no. I was just thinking we should have our lunch over here somewhere at a local place and you'd meet Maureen and Lorraine.
Perhaps we could bring
Yeah.
lunch and just.
I don't know whether if Lorraine would have any back information at all.
She's very keen though.
She's very keen, I know.
She wants a copy of the Russell thing, and I've never done it for her
Oh,
because
she can have the game thing now as well, because I've done as much as I know.
yeah.
Games.
Yeah. Well, I'll sort of get onto you. She'd like the Russell one. You gave me your copy. She wants a copy of the Russell family, doesn't she,
Yes.
Lorraine? Which I've never done for her because
No, Lorraine's very interested.
she is interested.
She's
Lorraine
very-
is younger. How old?
She's younger.
Younger than Maureen. How old's
I don't know
Lorraine?
whether
you
she's
reckon?
younger than Maureen or not. I don't
Yeah.
know, I was at a wedding but I've forgotten.
Maureen would be late 50s. I don't know what Lorraine would be, but
But but Lorraine is interested
yeah, she is.
in the
yeah. Yep.
district. Oh, well, you know, she just takes an interest in that sort of thing. And she's got, when our dad came back from the war, I should say, he didn't buy them. He bought them back in WA, but he
Yeah.
bought my mum and Lorraine's mum lovely big baby cellular dollage. Now,
Oh.
Lorraine's still got those dolls.
Really?
She's got, he gave her the boy one and gave me the girl one.
Oh, fancy that,
And,
eh?
but
That,
I give mine to Lorraine.
Antique?
So
Almost.
she's still got those two
Two-
celluloid dolls
lovely.
that Dad gave us.
Yeah.
She's got a beautiful selections, and she's really good. She's not a very well person at the moment. She's had a lot of trouble with her back, etc. And she has to have a one stick you have under your arm
Well,
to help her walk.
that's
She
Lorraine.
can
isn't
walk without it, Lorraine has, but she can't. They reckon they're going to operate another 2 months' time, I think, on her shoulder to see if they can sort of help, but whether they can or not, I don't know. And then to make matters worse, about, I don't know, it was 12 months ago now, I suppose, they went to Fremantle to, something was in.
The
They
boat,
went
yeah.
down to see, and I don't know if they had their little grandson with them or not, I've forgotten, but I went down to see something, and the council were working down there, and they had these planks across there.
Oh,
But there was
dear.
no sign to say, don't walk here, danger, nothing about it. Of course, Lorraine walked across the blank and down she went, and because she finished up in, well, Myers, I think it was, the store, they took charge of everything, because they had to get the ambulance and everything, because, and of course, that affected her arm
her shoulder.
and shoulder.
That's
Well,
right, yeah.
They've been fighting that case for all those years. Well,
Yeah.
next month, I think it is now, they've had work from the departments to go to a meeting because they've put in for a claim,
Yeah, yeah.
and this is years ago. Put in
Yes,
for a claim,
yeah, I
but
remember
anyhow,
that, yeah.
they have to go to a meeting. I think it's next month, and it's going to be all thrashed out. So whether they'll give her any compensation or I
or
don't
not,
know.
yeah.
But there was definitely no sign to say don't walk here.
No,
But you know what
no.
the government and the railway are like.
Yes,
They'll
that's
try
right.
to crayfish out of it if they can.
That's right, yeah.
Your parents, so your dad James,
Hmm?
your dad went to Coolgardie, you said.
Yes, well,
Worked in the railways in Coolgardie.
yes, well that's where they were. Mum and my father, they were at Coolgardie.
Is that where they met and got married? Or?
No, I've got a feeling they met in Kalgoorlie.
Uh-huh.
Whether Mum was working there or not, but he was stationed at Coolgardie.
Mhm.
But I think they were married in Kalgoorlie, as
Right.
far as I know.
And were you born in Kalgoorlie, or were you born?
No,
Did
I-
they stay there long?
I was born on the West Perth railway station, or next door to it.
Where you were
So-
living.
There was five
Yeah.
or six railway houses at the West Perth railway station.
And that's you were actually born in one
Only
of those.
4 railway men. You know, there was the engine driver, the guards, and there were 5 of them.
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
The head of the
yeah.
railways, the whatever you call it, the head man.
Yeah.
That was on the
Next-
corner of Road Street and Railway
The
Parade. There was only about 5 houses there,
Mhm. So you
No.
were born at home.
and I was born home.
Yep.
Everybody, I don't know whether I was born home or born in Nurse Harvey's hospital, I've forgotten now.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's where we lived anyhow, and that's where I got the splinter
Right.
in this big toe, because there was a big embankment going up like that across, and the lawn had grown all over the embankment, sleeper embankment, and I
Yeah.
rolled down that and got the Jarrah splinter in the big toe that caused my leg to be like this.
Right. And you were very little, were you?
I was only a baby,
Right.
18 months old or something.
Yes. Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh,
The
dear.
scar's still there.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you remember about your parents?
Hmm?
What do you remember about your parents?
About the what?
Your mum and dad. What do you remember about
Yeah.
them?
Oh, well, they were good dancers, I remember
Yeah,
that.
they dance as
I used to
well.
love dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, well, Dad was in the railways and he died, well, I must have been, I think I was in the Children's Hospital when he died. I'm not certain about that because it was when we went to Northam that this Dr. Aberdeen said
I can do something.
that he could do something with me, but I'd have to be prepared anything up to 2 years and be in hospital. Well, Dad died while I was in hospital,
Oh, yeah.
In Northam.
Yeah.
in Northam.
So
in
then,
Rustenburg.
did you come back down to Perth after your dad had died? Did your mum bring you back to Perth, or did you stay in Northam?
No, I think that when Mum lost Dad, see, we were in a railway house up there. Well, then I think she came down. I think we might have gone to Bayswater.
Mhm.
Mm.
I'm not certain. We lived in Bayswater, and someone went to Sacred Heart School, so it makes
That's where
me
you went to
feel-
school. Mm.
But that's where we must have come to.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
so you went to Sacred Heart.
Yes,
We went
good.
to Sacred Heart up Mary Street.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Ah, yeah,
Right.
that's interesting.
And of course, I'd missed a lot of schooling.
Yes,
through
with your
this.
leg. Yeah.
And when I started to go back to school, well, I was old and the kids were only young.
Oh, and you had to go
And
into their class.
I felt
yeah.
awful, you
Oh,
know. I
bet
mean,
you
say,
did.
I'll just say for argument's sake, I was about 9, the kids were about
6.
5 or 6 or 7 or something like
Yes,
that.
yes.
And I thought, I'm not going to school with kids
With
like
kids.
that. And Mum said, well, you've got to go to school. I said, well, I'm not going. So I went up to a doctor that I knew up in St George's Terrace, up the top end there where
Yeah,
the
yeah.
big avenue is, up
yes,
the
yeah,
main
King's
top.
Park. Yes, King's Park.
And I told him my story, and he said, well, I'll see what I can do. But he said, you should have to go to school, you know. And I said, well, I'm not going. I said, because all the kids are...
A little,
you know,
yeah, you want
I
to
said,
go
they
to the...
reckon I'm grandma or something. And so he said, I'll see what I can do. Anyhow, he had me wrote to the powers that be and got me
into your right class.
away from school. He said I
Oh.
didn't have to go to school if I didn't... I don't know where the words are used, but he
Oh.
put the whole case before them. So I was granted that I
Oh,
didn't...
really? So you didn't go to school? Gosh, you've done all right, haven't you?
No, I did all right.
So what did you do if you didn't go to school? What did you do?
Oh, I think I was just sort of played ladies and was home. They used to treat me with gloves, you know, kid gloves, in case something happened to me after all I'd been through.
Yes, yes,
But
yes.
and then
That's interesting.
I wouldn't go dancing. I should go dancing with Harry.
Yeah, I
Because
remember
he
that.
enjoyed dancing, and
Yes.
I used to go to dances, but I wouldn't dance because I said I
Oh.
couldn't dance on account of my leg.
Oh, yeah.
Where did you go to dances?
I
Where?
used to go to old time dancing up in the Perth Town Hall,
Mm.
and a hall in Hay Street, some lodge hall, and the Unity over in Beaufort Street,
Beaufort
Unity.
Street, yes.
upstairs.
Unity.
And anyhow, where we were living at Mount Lawley, a couple of the lasses I used to go with and Harry, we'd all go to dancing together, because we used to take a couple with them in the bus with us. They said, when we go over to the dance today, we're going to tell the teacher that you reckon you can't dance and we reckon you can. So don't argue with him. If he wants to take you up in the dance, don't argue with him. So I said, all right. And they said, well, we mean that. We don't want you to say anything at all. So anyhow, they saw him and told him, evidently, that I was self-conscious because I had this leg. You know, it was all right then, as you know, got over all the worries. And because of that, she won't dance because she thinks that she couldn't dance. And we think she can. So he said, right, I won't say anything. I'll just pick her up in the barn dance and I won't say anything. So when the barn dance came, it was one of the teachers. He came over and he said, I'll take you up in the barn dance just for whiz around. I'm sick of you sitting there. So I got up with him, and after we finished, he said, now who said you couldn't dance? I said, me. He said, you can dance, you can waltz. And he said, if you can waltz, you can do anything.
That's right, yeah.
So he said,
you
forget
danced
all
after
about
that,
it.
yeah.
From now on, you dance.
That's
And
right.
so from then on, I started dancing. I was doing the Elvis, and I was doing everything but stand on my head.
Did you ever dance when Bill Harrison's band was playing, Edna's Bill? Did you know him before Edna married him?
I don't think so. Although that rings a bell just the same. I don't think so, though. I don't think...
He did dances at White City and...
Oh, no, that was before my time.
Right, and in Subiaco at the King's Hall.
Yeah, no. We used to go out to White City, but not to dance. We used just to go down to watch them.
What did you watch there?
Oh, he was good.
Yeah? But what sort of things went on at White City that you watched?
Well, it was down in a pit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you didn't have a good reputation if you went there, to be quite truthful. You know, they reckon all the has-beens
Wasn't a
used
place,
to get there.
yeah.
We don't know whether they did.
Right.
We never used to go down there. We only used to get on the outside
And
looking
look.
in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
in those days you probably would have had to pay quite a bit to go in, I don't remember.
Were they dances that took place?
It was all
they?
fundraising stuff at White City, but yes, dances and a lot of RSL stuff.
Is that still there, this one?
No, long gone.
No, that's all gone. Those little high-rise flats, I should imagine, by now.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Oh.
And did you ever go to the silent pictures?
To what?
The silent pictures, the movies?
Oh, yes, we used to.
Yeah, but before the movies had... Before
Sound?
the talkies?
Before then, yes.
Yeah, where did you go to the movies?
We used to go to a hall in, I think I went to the first one with the movies, was in Murray Street, the theatre there.
Yeah?
And I've forgotten what the name, it was a well-known thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a screen.
Yep.
And that's about the first time I think they had it. And in behind there used to be a bootmaker's shop, and he had that gold nugget. I don't know whether it wasn't a Deacon gold nugget, but a model of the gold nugget in that window. If I remember that as well as anything.
Yeah.
The gold nugget was found or something in...
That Kalgoorlie, I think.
There was a model of
Golden Eagle or something, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Did you ever go to His Majesty's Theatre?
Oh, yeah.
And what did you do there?
Oh, we used to go to all I can't remember all the things we used to go to, but Harry was mad on all that sort of thing, and we used to go to His Majesty's a lot, to all the shows, all the live shows. I've seen, can't think of her name now, but all I can see her coming down.
Nellie Melba?
No.
Who?
Dame Nellie Melba?
No, she's a West Australian, well, he's a West Australian, she's a West Australian, or she was an Eastern States girl, but her husband was a West Australian, and I can see her now coming down that beautiful staircase with those beautiful legs. I can't think of the name of the show.
A singer?
Sounds like Mary Widow to me.
Could have been, but
it's not
anyhow,
Jill Perryman.
Perryman. Before Jill Perryman, you mean, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, see, Jill's
And
quite...
going back a few years ago now, well, I took Lorraine with me to this show to see it again. I'd seen it about 3 times. Anyhow, when we were kids, we lived in Lacey Street, and this chappie who married this girl, he lived in Stirling Street, back to back with us.
Yes.
And I said to Lorraine, I'd like to meet that chap because I want to meet his wife, who's the main one in the show I've taken you today. This is not so very long ago, it's only a few years ago. So Lorraine, up she goes to this chappie, and she said to him, my auntie wants to meet your wife. She said she doesn't know her, but even when she was over in Melbourne, she'd seen the show, she doesn't know how many times, but Harry still had to take me to see her come down that staircase. But he said she knew you when you lived in Stirling Street, back to back with her. I can't even think of what their names were.
You can't remember the name of the show?
I can't even think of what they're all champion dancers of West Australia anyhow.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It wouldn't be the Esslers.
Who?
Renee Essler.
No, not the Essler crowd, no, but up to their time. I can't think of the name. Anyhow, when Jill came down, this chap said to Lorraine, just stay a while because she's had some people from homes as guests today and she's got to see them off in the bus first, and when she finishes with them,
she'll come and see.
I'll bring her over, which he did. And he said to her, this lady wants to meet you, she's watched you in all your shows over in the Eastern States plus Perth, and apart from that, he said, when I was young I lived back to back with them in East Perth, you know, they lived in Lacey Street down the bottom, and we lived in Stirling Street. So we had quite a good yarn, and she was lovely to talk to, and she'd had 3 busloads of people from the homes as guests that day.
And it wasn't Jill Perryman, it was before Jill Perryman.
Before Jill Perryman.
I'm just trying to think now who was before Jill Perryman.
Did you ever go to the symphony orchestra at all?
Oh, I used to. I was never ever keen on them, but I used to go because Well, Harry loved all that sort of thing, and I've been when I've heard our family play. Our family were playing in the orchestra.
They still are, some of them. Yeah,
They still
some
are.
still are. My brother still plays.
Yeah, well, he was in the orchestra on a few occasions when we went to His Majesty's, I think it was.
Yes, that would be right.
That'd be
In the
right.
early
Yeah, there's
days.
nothing wrong with
Harry
your
was
memory,
My Harry
Millie,
was skying and say, "Oh, Bill's got a cousin down
down there in the orchestra.
in the orchestra."
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the name of that lady?
Do you remember when Sir Charles Court was young and playing cornet and things?
No, not really.
No?
I don't remember it yet. I knew of the Court family for many years. I knew where they lived and all that sort of thing.
Mum and Dad knew them, of course.
I
You know, Mum
used
and
to-
Dad mixed with Charles
Yes.
Court, yeah.
Can you remember Edna being in a group called the Rainbow Pierrots, I think they were called? She used to sing, Edna, and entertain. Do you remember
Harrison.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Edna Harrison.
that? Before she was Edna Harrison, when she was Edna Kerr.
Well, I know she used to be in a lot of things because we had photos of them too, two lovely photos of Edna and Jill. The seat all went down in that water that
Yeah.
day. It was Jill and Edna together.
The Dutch,
And their beautiful
Bessie and
hair.
Edna, not the
They had
Dutch
these beautiful
outfits.
black bows at the back of their head, you know.
Yeah,
Lovely
yeah,
photos of them.
Yes, yes.
But they all went down with
Yeah.
that Catholic Bible, the Catholic truth and all that.
Yeah, I'll tell you who'll have some of that. That is on the George side, Bessie's family.
Yep, Bernice maybe.
Berners, if not Lois.
No, Lois said Bernice had their photos.
Yeah, you've spoken to Lois,
Yeah,
have you?
mine
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, did you? Is she living in Sydney still?
Hamilton Island.
Oh, on Hamilton Island with her mother, yeah. well, the
Who
old-
was the one who had the hotel up at up the
Bill.
hills? Bill, was it?
Parkerville. Billy,
Parkerville.
Bill, my
Yeah,
brother.
'cause Auntie
yeah.
used to go up there quite a bit.
Auntie who?
Auntie
Yeah.
Amy, didn't she?
Yeah, she would have gone up there.
Yeah, she
possibly,
used to go up
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
I think it'd be Auntie Amy. One of them used to go up there a lot.
Did you go to Edna's wedding? Edna and Bill's
You
wedding?
would have done, I think, or
Well, I can't remember.
unless you were in Norseman at the time, but
Could have been in Norseman, perhaps.
Yeah.
I know. I remember coming. We went to Auntie Amy's birthday party.
yeah.
And my husband was alive there, and so was brother Jack Doyle. He was alive then,
Yeah.
because I'll tell you for why. I can remember this, because we didn't want him to drive home, because he'd been bending the elbow, and they'd, oh no, he was going to drive home, and I said, my God, if he gets caught, he'll go up for plenty, you know. And he had the boss's vehicle, not his vehicle, it was the boss's vehicle. Anyhow, we gave him an extra mile long, but he was going to drive home. Anyhow, to cut a long story short, he got as far as the children's hospital,
Yeah.
and he pulled up alongside the children's hospital and slept it off. He never told us at the time, but we found out
He was
after.
wise, wasn't he, to do
Yeah.
that? Instead of,
And what did Jack do?
He always worked for, I think it was someone by the name of Robinson in the building trade.
Oh yeah.
Used to be the head man, dish out all the jobs to the different men, you know, Jackie did.
Like a foreman.
foreman, yes.
I can't even think of the man he worked for.
Yeah.
Robinson, I think. He had a big place out Guildford Road, Bayswater.
Mm. Oh, yeah. The Doyles, yeah. Good have
I should remember more about them because I had a lot to do with them.
Mm. Yeah.
And then when Jackie Doyle married Dorry, or when they had their first child, Dorry was old-fashioned and she didn't believe in going into hospital to have your baby. You had your baby at home. They only had the one child, that was Brian. And so I wanted to go to Rottnest. I was only young then, and I wanted to go to Rottnest, and I never had enough money, and all the crowd were going, and I never had enough money to go. So I said, well, I wouldn't be able to go because I wasn't going to go unless I could sort of be with the crowd. So Brother Jack said, well, if you come out and stay with Dorry for a fortnight before the baby's born, I'll shout you your trip to Rottnest and pocket money, because he said, Dorry won't go to a hospital to have the baby. She wants the baby at home and having a nurse come to the house. And I'm not in the position to take the time off from work because, I've got my job to do.
They wanted
If
you
you
to
come out
be
and
there.
stay there, well, I'll shout you your trip to Rottnest and your pocket money, and you can go with the girls. So I said, well, that suits me. So I was there when our little boy was born. I was the second one to nurse him. His mother had him first, and then I had him. And he's a very sick boy at the present moment.
is
He's
he?
still alive, but he's
Brian
very,
Doyle.
very ill. And I don't know
Is he?
what's going to happen. I was out to see him not so very long ago.
Yeah.
But he's a very sick
Oh.
person. They tell me he's very bloated out here. He wasn't like it when I saw him, but he still was sick. But Alan and Lorraine took me out to their home to see him because he's in bed. He's got a marvellous wife, absolutely a fantastic girl he married. Gee, she's one in 1,000.
So when you went to Rottnest,
So I went to Rottnest then and had a
And-
gorgeous time.
what did you do at Rottnest?
I just played up,
Yeah?
Yeah.
like all the kids did.
What do you mean you played up? What did you
Well, we
actually
had a
do?
good time.
Had a few
The
drinks.
whole
Sat
crowd
on
of us
the
together.
beach and-
We're in tents,
Yeah?
Oh, yes.
We're
I know
intense.
the tent.
but it was the spending money, that's I said, well, I wouldn't be able to go because I wouldn't have enough money, and if I
Yeah.
couldn't go and be with the crowd, I wouldn't go.
And we sick on the boat going over?
No.
You remember the boat
Oh,
going
no,
over?
I used to go to
A lot
Rottnest
of
a lot.
people used to there. A lot of people used to get sick on the boat,
no,
didn't they?
I used to
The
go to
old
Rottnest
boat.
a lot.
That's why I never went. I never went as a kid. I was too frightened
Oh,
to
I
be
used to
sick.
go to
I'm
Rottnest a
still
lot.
bad on
I
those.
love Rottnest.
But now they've got the fast boats on,
Yeah.
all right.
I went over there.
The Clive, you know, the Clive someone, how does he come into your family?
Clive?
The pilot that looked up Peter.
Oh no, that name
Flies-
rings a bell, but I just can't think of the
I'll think
moment.
of his other name in a minute, but go on, talking to Jodie.
I went to Rottnest one year, and I was supposed to catch a boat at a certain time. Anyhow, I missed the boat, so I thought, well, I'm still going to Rottnest. They'll still be there because they were holidaying over there
he missed
right
it.
around. So, but I thought, well, I've missed the connection. When I get to Rottnest, I'll have to walk around the water's edge till I get to where they are.
Where
'cause
they
they were
are,
in
yeah.
a staff house of some sort,
Oh, yeah.
belonging to whoever the chap worked for. It was a staff house only for them.
Right.
Their staff
Yeah.
had the use of it. I can remember walking around that water's edge.
Yeah.
Fair
I
way
know.
it was too, but I got there and they said, oh, we give you away as a bad job because they said you'll only be here for about a half an hour and you'll have to go all the
Way
way
home
back again, but you won't have to walk because we'll take you back. And I said, well, I missed the connections,
Oh,
you know.
yeah,
But I said, I'm
Yeah.
still determined to go.
yeah,
And
yeah.
did they ride bikes? Did they ride
Oh,
bicycles
yes,
on
I
the
used to hire
island?
bikes and
Yes.
ride them all around.
So that's been the same for years.
They're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
doing it now.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Clive Besson.
Oh, Clive Besson.
How are they related? They're in the family tree,
They're
actually.
in the family tree.
So I shouldn't waste time, but I think they're in the Russell family tree, aren't they? The Bessons? He's a pilot with
They're in
Qantas.
it.
He
Oh,
and
really?
Peter have met up. Yeah, the Bessons. There's some. They're in the Russell family tree, I think. The Bessons. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that is interesting.
Well,
You-
I think some of them in connection with them are over in Melbourne, aren't they?
The Bessons. No. I don't. No, I only know the ones in Perth.
Yes.
I told Peter to keep an eye out for that name, Clive Besson. He's well and truly a captain now. I think he's been in his 50s. And they met up. Yeah.
Do you remember your parents talking about their parents ever?
No, because I think they all came out here when they were young.
Well, Charles, or Samuel's dad,
That's Uncle.
now your grandfather came out. He was a warder at the prison,
Oh.
and but he died when your dad was very, very young, he drowned
I don't
in
remember.
the Swan River, so
Oh,
he wouldn't
yeah.
remember him, I should imagine.
No.
And then his mum married again.
Uh-huh.
But the Russell family, they are as old as West Australia can be. We are the oldest West Australians because of the Russells, because they came here only 2 years after Perth or Fremantle started. So, you know, we're as old as West Australians can be.
Is it some of the Russell family that's buried up in the East Perth Cemetery?
Yes.
Yes, well now next Sunday at the East Perth Cemetery they're having a celebration because it's something in a big way. I've forgotten what it is. It's going to be so many years old, I think.
Oh.
The cemetery.
At the cemetery.
Yes.
Next Sunday that's going to happen.
Oh.
Because my nephew by marriage, he's a warder up there.
Oh, yeah.
As a matter of fact, they come to see me today. They hadn't long gone
When we came.
before you.
What's his name, your nephew?
We married one of Lorraine's sisters.
Yes.
I can't think his name, but he's a warder now. He worked for years in something to do with motors and things, and when he retired, he thought, oh well, he's too young to be idle, so he joined the
Cemetery.
East Perth Cemetery because they're
Looking for volunteers and
because he
helpers.
knew that our old relations were up there,
Oh, yeah.
and we'd lost track of one family. We couldn't find them anywhere. And he said, well, they're listed, so they should be in the cemetery somewhere. Anyhow, he was somewhere one day, and there was this big rock. So he turned this rock over, and
that was the name. That was the name.
under there, it must have rolled over, and it was covered up. So he was very happy about finding that.
Yeah.
But we're all up there, and that's what I can't find now. It's not so very long ago that we're up that cemetery, and I took a beautiful photo of all our graves.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've got
yeah.
some.
Beautiful
I've got them.
photo.
And wouldn't the Russells so be just through Nana Kerr, that side of the family? Or the Russells?
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
side of the family, aren't they? So Millie wouldn't
Which is the
necessarily
same. Yeah, the Kerrs.
do the Kerrs.
No, the Russells are the Gaines.
The Gaines, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Not necessarily Millie's back family. Her